Hey you all, also hi to fellow dressmakers. You're welcome to another interesting tutorial. My name is Confidence. In this video, we'll be doing the Armhole Princess Bustier. Not just one method of going about it, we'll be exploring two infamous methods of drafting the Armhole Princess Bustier. And trust me, this tutorial has the answer to your hows and whys about the Armhole Princess Bustier. The first method will be coming with a chest tightening and armhole tightening. So the armhole has to come with a dart to create the fullness for the bust area to sit perfectly. And this particular method needs utmost care because if you don't do it properly, you're going to have bulge and excess fabric where it's not necessary. And we'll be taking care of that in this video. And at the end of the day, this is the result of this particular pattern. Can you see how smooth the bustier is? And even the armhole, there is no form of bulge or excess fabric around the armhole, even though there is no sleeve to further snatch the chest line. And then there is this girl which all she cares about is a well tightened chest line. You're going to do the chest tightening in two different ways in one pattern. And this is like the updated method of drafting the armhole Princess Bustier. And this particular method is so straightforward and stress-free. And with the help of the chest tightening, your bustier is going to come out hugging or embracing the shapes and curves of the bust area, which gives you the perfect fitting that you desire. And this is the result of this particular pattern. Can you see how smooth this is? So the two blouses are pieces blouse, yeah, but not same method. I actually compared two methods of doing pieces blouse that I know. And I know you are here for all of that, right? Then let's do this. Now on your pattern paper, you are going to mark out the starting point line, which I already did, and the line you see on going to the center is just to make that part straight. There is nothing too serious about it. Now you see me start from the shoulder line and I'm going down to the bust point, to the under bust, to the waistline, and then to the blouse length. I'm using this pattern for the pieces blouse, so it's obviously going to stop at the blouse length. Okay, now I'm going to mark across this point, and then we have the bust point line, we have the under bust line, we have the waistline, and then the blouse length. I'll come to the shoulder line and divide my shoulder measurement by 2. I'll mark it, then I'm going to go down to the chest line, which I'm using 8.5. If you don't know how to go about yours, you can just divide your bust circumference by 6 plus extra 1.5. Or better still, what I do these days is to just add 1 inch to my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder is 15, divided by 2 is 7.5, then plus 1 is 8.5, which I use there. Next, you're going to mark your neck width and then come to the shoulder measurement and come down to your shoulder slope. Here I'm using 1.25 here for the shoulder slope. Now I'm going to come up here 3 inches from the chest line. I'll go up 3 inches. Then on that point I'll be going in by 0.75. Now this is the first part you have to take care of very well. Whatever you use to tighten your chest line, let's say you usually use ½ inch, you're going to add extra 0.25 to that. But if you usually use 0.25, you're going to add extra 0.25 to make it ½ inch. Basically, whatever you use to tighten your chest line, add 0.25 to that. Mine is half. Adding 0.25 to it will give me 0.75. And the reason for this is to contour that part, like tighten it very well so that it will not budge. It usually budge around the princess seam line. So to take care of that, you're going to just add 0.25 to whatever you usually use to tighten your chest line. I hope that is clear. Then you're going to take your bust measurement divided by 4, then curve the armhole this way. Now I'm going to get my bust span, that's nipple to nipple, on the bust point line and on the blouse length. Then I'm going to just roll it across, just a straight line like this, and now we have the dart line. On the waistline, I'll be marking 0.75 on both sides of the dart line. Yeah, 0.75, which is 1.5. Then I'll come to the under bust and mark 0.75 going to the center, and then I'll place my 2 inches on that 0.75 and mark it on this other side, right? Now I'm going to take the 1.5 I have on the waistline down because of what I'm going for. That's why I have to do it like that. Depending on the outfit you're making determines how you're going to connect your dart. But for what I'm going for, I just need the dart this way. I just need to extend whatever I have on the waistline or the way down. Then I'm going to use my curve. You see how I placed it on the under bust line. I'll curve it to the bust point, then do the same thing for this other side. Now I'm going to use this part of the curve to just extend the dart line to the waist dart, just like this. Now I already have my bust measurements. I'll come to the waist and take the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the dart intake. I will replace it. Then I'll come to the blouse length and take the hip measurement divided by 4. Then I will also replace the dart intake. I hope that is clear. Now I'm going to connect these measurements with my rule just like this. The next thing now I'll be doing is to do the bust dart, and I'm doing 1.5 for the bust dart, and I'm going to slant it to the bust point this way. And now to connect the princess seam, you can decide to come down where you want to connect it to. I'm doing 4 inches. You can also decide to maintain where you tighten the chest line, or better still, you start from 1.5 and go down to where you want the line to be. What matters is that to tighten it very well whenever you're connecting it to. So I'm doing 4 inches, and you see how I placed my curve. Make sure it's really not curvy at this point. Then you're going to connect it, okay? Here I'm trying to blend in this part, that's the bust point. Then I'm going to measure this line. You see this line, I'll measure it, and then whatever measurement it gives me, I like to bend my tape to create a crease line on the measuring tape so that I know that that is the measurement of the line. Okay, now you're going to place that same measurement again on the bust point. Maintain the same measurement while your measuring tape is on the bust point. Then you're going to tilt it gently while still maintaining the position of the measuring tape. Okay, then you're going to mark it. Then from this line, I'll be coming in by 1 inch, just as you can see me do it here. This way, the 2 lines are going to be equal by the time you want to join it. Then you see how I placed my curve. I'm going to curve it to meet the previous curve I already have going from the bust point to the under bust. Then you're going to curve the armhole this way, like you recurve the armhole, and this time you have to make it as deep as possible. Make the armhole as deep as possible, or you're going to end up with a bulge around your armhole. So with this armhole tightening, you don't have to worry about it shortening your armhole or making it tight or anything, because judging from the human body, the back armhole is longer while the front is curvier. That's just how the human body is. And then you don't have to worry about replacing this 1 inch. If you try to replace it on your, like add it to your bust measurement, you're creating a bulge for your armhole. You're creating excess fabric. That excess fabric you see around the armhole, if you try to replace it, that's what it's going to do, because the front will be trying to meet up with the back armhole and there will be excess. So don't worry about it. And also, this 1 inch is not standard depending on who you're working with. If you're making this for a plus size, do half inch. You can even do half inch or 0.75. And if you're making this for someone with a flat chest, I'm sorry for using that word, you are going to do even 1.5 or 1.25, just so you tighten the armhole properly for the person so that there won't be any bulge or excess fabric around the armhole. I hope that is clear enough. And now on the side, I came up 1 inch, and you see how I connected it to the dart leg. The next thing you will do on your pattern is to do the neckline, and at this point you have to do any neckline shape or design that you're going for. I think I did both neck here. Yeah, and this is why you have to connect your shoulder slope to the standard neck width. Okay, it helps tighten your neckline tighten it very well, any neckline shape that you're going for, so that you don't end up with a gaping neckline. Now imagine if I had to connect the shoulder slope to this my new neck width. It's going to be like this, and it's going to be a disaster. So connecting your shoulder slope to the neck standard neck width helps tighten the neckline. And now I'm trying to maintain the same thing I have there. Like I'm coming in here on the shoulder slope about 1.5, then I'm curving it back. Okay, and that's it. That's pretty much about it for this pattern. I'm going to cut it out this way, then I will open up the dart all the way to the bust point so I can be able to close the bust dart. You're now going to fold your bust dart this way, and then you're going to place it on the bust point line like this. I'll be using my masking tape to tape it down. Yeah, then I'll blend in the side line just like this, and that's pretty much about it. Now I'm going to simply cut it out. Here I'm just trying to blend in this line because it was not looking all cute. Then I'm going to simply cut out the pattern. Okay.
It must be you, I'm weak. I need you, I need you for my family.
It's only been a few days. I set my eyes on you, babe. Is it love at first sight? Turn on the lights, see the mess you made. 1, 2, in love with you. 3, 4, I'm on the floor. Come pick
So after cutting it out, this is what it looks like. Can you see? This is definitely going to bang, and you can see that they are equal. You don't have to worry about one of them being less or one being more while you are joining it. Okay, now for the back, remember I use 1.5 for the bust dart. I'm going to minus it and mark that as the half length. Yeah, then I'm going to do the same thing on the length. So basically the back length is going to be 1.5 shorter than what I have on the front. Okay, and measuring it now from the waist to the blouse length is just what I should have there. So this part will be the center back. Then I'll start from the center back and go into the shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'm going to just try to get a straight line on both corners. Okay, the shoulder measurement divided by 2, then going down to 8.5, and then I'm connecting it this way. The next thing is to mark the 3 inches I'm using as the standard neck width. Then I'll come here and go in 1 inch and slant it to the standard neck width just like this. Now I'm going to come in on the waist from the center back 0.75, right? Then I'm going to use this my curve. I'll place it this way, and then just give it this curve. Because the center back is not straight, that's why I usually do this. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that this is how I place my, like I curve the center back because it's not straight. Now I'll start from this new line and take the that line, and I'm using 3.5. Then I'll start from the waistline, go up 6 inches and go down 6 inches, and that will be the that length. Okay, now measuring from the previous center back line to that point, whatever it gives me, I'm going to mark the same thing on the 6 inches up and also the same thing on the 6 inches down, right? And that will be the that length. That is just to get a straight line. You know how much I like my lines being straight where it's needed. Then on both sides of this line, now on the waistline, I'll be marking half inch. That's 1 inch. Then I'm going to just slant it to the top and also to the down, just as you can see me do it here. The next thing now is to get the midpoint of this line. Yeah, then on that point I'll be going in by 0.25. I'm going to first slant it to the shoulder tip this way, then I'm going to curve from that point. Okay, first I'll take the bust measurement from this center back contour line. Okay, from that line I'll be taking the bust measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to curve the armhole to that point just like this. Next, on the waist, from the center back contour line again, I'll be taking the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the 1 inch dart intake. Then I'll go to the hip and take the blouse length and take the hip measurement divided by 4. There is no dart on the hip, so there is no dart replacement there. Yeah, that allowance replacement. And at this point, you can decide to leave your dart straight, like anyhow you want. Or because I said I'm using this pattern for a pieces blouse, so I need to just have a dart there, or at least a line. Even if I don't want that, there's going to be a line. So you see how I connected it to the midpoint of the armhole line. Yeah, it's not really curvy there and it's not straight. Then you see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to recurve the armhole so that when joining it, it's going to be equal on that point. I hope that is clear enough. You don't have to do that like we did for the front. Okay, and here I'm trying to do the neckline. I'm using the same neck width I used for the front, and for the down part I think I used 2 inches. And I'm going to place my curve this way and give it the neckline shape. And then I'm going to follow the center back contour line and add my 1 inch zipper allowance. Whatever zipper allowance that you're comfortable using, go ahead and at this point and add it. But make sure you're following your center back contour line so that they will align. Okay.
And tell me you know for sure.
What you want believe if
What
you
you
know
know I
believe.
believe.
I'm not deceived,
Oh,
I'm
I'm
not
not good
deceived.
deceived.
And my love go past the love you give me. If I follow your hand, I beg delete. What you want believe if you know believe.
Then I will extend this line, and then lastly I'll come to the side and come up by 1 inch and curve it to the dart leg, just like I did for the front. And I think we are pretty much done with the back pattern. Now you're going to watch how and where I'll be cutting that out, especially the armhole part. Okay.
It's only been a few days. I set my eyes on you, babe. Is it love at first sight? Turn on the lights, see the mess you made. 1, 2, in love with you. 3, 4, I'm on the floor. Come pick me up, oh, and tell me you know for sure.
What you want believe if
What
you
you
know
know I
believe.
believe.
I'm not
And right after cutting, we have the center back and the side back, just 2 pieces for the back. And when I try to match up the pattern, you can see that you don't have to worry about the armhole part. It's going to be equal or match up by the time you transfer your pattern to your fabric and want to join. Then you already know how we do it on this channel. We match up our pattern to see where we stand. Okay, so this is the side front. Then I'm going to match it up this way. The best way to do it is to match the waistline just like this. Then you're going to tilt it up, and you see that I have about 0.25 excess, right? I'm going to shade it off this way. Then after that, I'm going to also match it up on the waistline and tilt the pattern this way. And here I have about 0.375 on the down part. Now the pattern is matching up. I won't have to have any issue. I will even still do I match up the pattern by the time I transfer the pattern to the fabric. Okay, now moving on to the second method. I already have the bust point line, the under bust line, and the waistline. This one will just be stopping at the waistline because of what I'm going for. Then on the shoulder line, I'm going to take the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then I'll go down to the chest line of 8.5. Then I'll get the shoulder measurement again on that point, and I'm going to roll it out this way just so I have a straight line. Next, I'll be getting the standard neckline measurement of 3 inches. Then I'll come here and mark 1.25 and slant it to the neck width this way. Now, I'm going to come up here by 3.25. Yeah, then on that point I'll be going in by ½ inch. So for this method I'll just be doing ½ inch without having to add extra 0.25 for extra tightening. So ½ inch is what I usually use to tighten the chest line. Okay, then I'm going to get the bust measurement divided by 4. On this point I'll mark it. Then I'm going to use my curve to curve the armhole like this to meet the other half line. Now I'm going to get the bust band measurement, that's the nipple to nipple, which is 3.5. I'll mark it on the waistline and also on the bust point. Then I'm going to mark it out this way. Then I'll come to the shoulder and get the midpoint of the shoulder slope like this. You can decide to just measure it and divide it into two, or better still, you can bend your measuring tape like this just so you have it accurate. Okay, then you're going to mark it and connect it to meet the bust span line like this. Now I'm going to come to the waist and do 0.75 on both sides of the dart line. Yeah, then I'll come to the under bust and mark 0.75 going to the center. Then I'll place my 2 inches on that point and then mark it here. Okay, then I'm going to curve from the under bust to the bust point, placing my curve this way. I'll do the same thing for this other side. Then I'll go ahead and extend the dart leg to the waistline like this. So I already have the bust measurement. I'm going to take the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the dart intake of 1.5. I'll add it. Then I'm going to connect it to the bust measurement like this. Now I'm going to do the bust dart and I'm coming down 1.5 from the bust point line. Then I'm going to slant it to the bust point, just as you can see me do it here. Next, I'll come here and go in by 1 inch from the shoulder dart line. I would go in 1 inch and I'm going to just connect it to the bust point like this. Then I'll come to this point and replace the 1 inch. Yeah, then whatever I used initially for the shoulder slope, which is 1.2, I'll come to this point now and do the same 1.2. Now I'm going to reconnect the shoulder slope, but this time either this line or the other line is just the same, but we don't have to connect it to the neck width. Okay, either this line or the one at the front. Yeah, so I'm going to just slant it this way and that will be the new shoulder slope. That's because we'll be closing the dart later on. So I'm going to connect from that point to where I tighten the chest line. You can also decide to get the midpoint of this line, like from the shoulder slope down. But me, I would be maintaining the, where I tighten the chest line. So I'm going to just connect it this way. Then use my curve to curve the armhole from that point to the bust measurement like this. Can you see that?
And my love go past the love you give me. If I follow your hand, I beg delete. So you want me leave if you know.
But in case you want to do the bust dart but your front and back length are just the same, which is just in rare cases, I'll show you how to go about it. Okay, so I'm going to add up a paper here, right, just like this. Then I'm going to extend the bust span line like this. Now I'm going to measure what I have from here to here. Yeah, then I'll come down and mark the same thing. Then I'm going to extend the side measurement line just like this. Can you see that? Then I'm going to come down 1.5 from the half length and then slant it to the first dart leg like this. This way, when you close up the bust dart, you have already added it back, like replaced it, and you won't have any shortage. That's how to go about it in case your front and back length is the same and you want to add the bust dart, which is very essential. Okay, so I'm going to cut the pattern. First I'll slash open the dart all the way to the bust point. Then I'm going to fold in the bust dart this way and place it on the bust point line like this. After that, I would go ahead and hold it down with my water glue, just as you can see me do it here. Then I'll go ahead and blend in the side line, which is now distorted, right? Then the next thing now is to give it that princess seam. Okay, first I will have to open this dart. You can just slash on any of the two lines, it's just the same. We are trying to close the dart, so I'm going to open this one all the way to the bust point. Make sure you do not cut through the dart, like cut it all out, but cut it in a way that it will be flexible enough for you to place it on the other line like this conveniently. Okay, so I'm going to just apply the water glue on that line like this. Then I'll go ahead and tape the paper on the line like this. This way you have closed the bust dart, like eliminated the dart there. And what this dart does is to tighten the chest line and make the chest line not to be puffy or budge. Like it just give the perfect fitting for the bust area. Then I'm going to place my cuff this way and give it the princess line. You can decide to start from the shoulder slope and come down where you want to connect it to, but I maintain where I tighten the chest line, just as you can see it here. And that's pretty much about it. You can see that this particular method is, like I said, is straightforward and stress free. The only downside I think is in case you don't like opening and closing that much, like slashing and closing that, you can see how much we did that on this pattern. Aside that, judging from the time we spent on the other one and this one, you can see that this one is even faster. Okay, if I'm really in a hurry just to get the pattern out of the way, I do the first method. But if I really want that perfect fitting, not that the other one does not fit, but this one, because of the chest tightening, there is no much excess fabric around the chest line and it just sits perfectly. So you have two options now. You have to choose which one you want. So go ahead and give it any neckline shape that you want and ignore the extended shoulder you're seeing. That I want that to serve as the sleeve for the pattern. Okay, so it's nothing serious and it's not part of the tutorial. After that, you go ahead and cut out your pattern, and after cutting it out, you can see how cute this is looking. Okay, so like I said, I wouldn't say I prefer this pattern to the other one, but I like this pattern. I like this particular method a lot. Keeping that aside, we'll work on the down, yeah, the back pattern. So I already have the zipper allowance marked out, and I have the starting point line and also the half length line. So I'm going to get the shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll go down to the 8.5 I'm using as the chest line. Then I'm going to connect it just as you can see me do it here. After that, I'm going to get the standard neck width of 3 inches. Then I'll come to this point and go down to 1 inch and slant it to the neck width. And that will be the shoulder slope. Next, I'm going to come in here by 1 inch. Not sure if I want to do that on this back pattern, so I'm doing 1 inch. I'm using that as the center back contour line. I used 0.75 for the previous pattern, right? So this one is 1 inch because I'm not sure if I want to do that on this back pattern. Okay, now I'm going to get the midpoint of this line. Yeah, then on that point I'll be going in by 0.25. First, I'll slant it to the shoulder tip like this, then go ahead and get my bust measurement from the center back contour line. The bust measurement divided by 4, I'll mark it, then I'm going to curve the armhole from that point to meet the other half line like this. Then now I'll go to the waist. From the center back contour line, I'll take the waist measurement divided by 4. There is no dart yet, so I'm not replacing any dart here. Now you're going to do any neckline shape that you want, so this part is really going to be fast, but I'm not sure the neckline is part of the tutorial. I'm showing you how to draft the bustier, and so you are free to do any neckline shape that you want, but you can still learn from this because of the tightening and all of that. So after getting the neck width and the neck depth, this is what it looks like. I'm going to clean up the center back line, the previous center back line. Okay, then I'm going to come in here by ½ inch. That's the first tightening. Then I'm going to use my curve and connect it down like this. Okay, now I'm going to start from that center back contour line and add my zipper allowance of 1 inch and connect it this way. Then the next thing I'll be doing is to add a line for the pieces blouse, and I'm just doing it this way. Okay, just connecting a line this way. There's no that, but I want it because of what I'm doing. Okay, so I need that line there. Now I'm going to go up 6 inches because I still want to tighten the neckline, and you see what I'm doing. I'm going to connect from that neckline to that 6 inches, and that's another form of tightening. This way the neckline will just sit perfectly on the back with no form of gaping. I hate gaping where it's not necessary. Like, except you really want the part of the garment to gape, there is no reason why your neckline at least should be gaping. So with the right amount of tightening, is just going to follow your body shape and body contour and sit perfectly where it's supposed to sit perfectly. So after cutting it out, this is what the pattern looks like. Can you see? And that's pretty much about this pattern. I'm going to complete the pattern with what I'm going for. I'm comparing two methods of making a pieces blouse, two different methods. So that's why I have two patterns now. I'm simply going to transfer it to the fabric, and after cutting it out on the fabric, I'm also going to cross check the pattern to see if they are aligning where they should, and then I'll go ahead and sew it. So this will be the end of our tutorial, and by the end of this tutorial now, I know you already picked which one is your favorite and why. At least now you have two perfect ways of making the Armhole Princess Bustier, which will make your life a whole lot easier. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll see you on my next one. Be good. Bye.